Hello, and welcome back to another Grow with Ruben. To meet with everyday people that are just doing extraordinary things and just grinding every single day. This podcast is sponsored by City Insight Houston. And if you're looking for a rental, need to purchase a new house, or just get rid of your house and buy a new one, please contact us here at City Insight Houston for all your real estate needs. And now it's just one of these things that I like to do. I like to talk to people in this kind of mindset because I strongly believe that they drop, tips, advice without even consciously wanting to do it. So we have these conversations, and it's an honor to have Lee Salazar. Welcome to the podcast, man. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very good. Thank you.
Awesome, man. I see that you're very, very busy.
Yes, I am very busy. And I do mean like it's an all-day schedule from all the hats that I wear to everything that I do.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So what kind of things do you do to stay busy?
Oh man. So I'm the owner of a 10,000 square foot gym on the south part of Houston called Flex Level Fitness.
Flex Level Fitness.
I'm also a pro bodybuilder in the IFBB organization.
Wow.
And I'm also a now amateur boxer. And I'm also putting together a website for the weighted vest apparel, which I created maybe about 3 years ago now. So I do that, and I also have employees and at least maybe 35 in-person clients, as well as probably about another 10 online clients.
Wow.
Yeah, so I do all that.
So everybody has the same 8 hours in the day. 24 hours in the day. I say 8 hours because people usually work 8 hours, 9 to 6.
Yes.
I try to run away from that as much as possible. But how do you find time to kind of, get into all these kind of things?
Well, I would say that yes, my schedule is very. I do lay it out, and I have to lay it out perfectly. So I wake up at 3:50 in the morning, and I have my first client at 4:30, 5:30, and 6:30. At which point, as I'm training them, I'm also doing some steps, as that's how we normally lose weight at my gym. We do steps, so I'm accumulating steps because I'm supposed to be at 10,000 steps a day. I'm wearing my weighted apparel, so I'm training, and I'm actually also actively moving while I'm training my clients. Afterwards, I get on the treadmill for about 30 minutes. I go home and eat, and then I get ready to start my day with about, I have 2-3 hour blocks that I have to fit all this activity in. So from there, I get on the treadmill, I do my cardio, and I get ready to come back to work at noon, and then at 1 o'clock, I start my boxing from 1 to 2, and then right afterwards, I'll go swimming about 30 laps in the pool, come back, get on the treadmill, go home and eat, and come back and train my 4:30, 5:30, 6:30 clients. Right afterwards, I have to go home and do computer work for my clients, and then I go to sleep. So it's a very, it's right on there. And I have to work out.
And you also work out
yes.
for yourself as well.
Yes, I also work out.
Wow.
So I squeeze that in there.
Yeah. So let's kind of. I'm a fan of fighting. I've been a practitioner. I've done MMA. I've had an amateur fight for a Legacy Fighting Championship.
Oh wow.
Not that impressive, but still, I love the sport, right? Just can't do it professionally. But what sets you off? You're like, I see that, were you already training, or has boxing been something that that you've always wanted to do back in the day?
Yes, I've always loved boxing since I was a kid. When Vargas, De La Hoya, Mayweather were the superstars, Tyson when I was a little kid, I loved boxing. I loved everything about boxing. I loved bodybuilding more.
Yeah.
And then the transition from 2002, 2003, 2005, started going into MMA, and kind of like how bare knuckle boxing is the black sheep right now. Yeah. That's how UFC was. Yeah. UFC was this joke. They'll never do good. They'll never, but I really like the way Dana White and the UFC really has their establishment, and they're awesome. I love MMA so much. Boxing, we get to see maybe 2 fights a year of who they pick.
Right. I think that's killed the sport.
I believe so. Yeah.
So you're mentioning about your interest in boxing.
Yeah. So the boxing has always been there. I always loved boxing, even though now I just really love watching MMA. Yeah. I always try to tell people. I said, well, it's almost like going to high school or trying to get your associates. You have to either go through all the classes or you can just go to one specific class.
Yeah.
So with I really always loved boxing. I always wanted to get into it. As much as I don't really enjoy too much of the mainstream boxing, I really like the mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
But something that I feel like I can do. So I probably told myself about 5 years ago. I told some friends of mine. I said, when I get my IFBB Pro card, right when I get it, since that's going to be just amazing if I can get that pro card. That's what a lot of people strive for in the industry and never achieve.
Yeah.
But once I get it, then I have it for life, and then I'm going to go ahead and just take a year off and just dedicate to boxing. Mm-hmm. Now, right before I won my pro card, I started thinking, I was like, man, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to win my pro. I know I am going to win my pro card, but it might not be until I'm 40, 41, 42. I'm in a very competitive, I'm one of the top 5 bantamweight bodybuilders in the USA.
Sure.
So I know that, but let me go ahead and start now. So I started getting into boxing, but not, it would be sometimes 3 times a week, sometimes 1 time a week, sometimes once every 3 weeks. So it did that for about a year.
Yeah.
Until I actually got my pro card. Yeah. During that little transition. And then I said, all right. And then we talked about a competition, about a fight. And then I was like, okay, we're really doing this. And yeah. So I'm the type of person that I never really ever tried to be the best in anything. I grew up as a breakdancer, a very good breakdancer, but I never wanted a lot of people have different drives, and I also have so many people in my life throughout all the years that they get a burst of motivation and they try something. And then they stop it pretty quick.
Yeah.
And me, when I try something, I'm not trying to be the best, not necessarily trying to be pro or anything. I just want to see it through. Just right. Plain and simple, see it through and give it my complete effort.
Yeah.
And then I like doing that. So like if I wanted to start learning how to play the guitar, and I purchase a guitar, I say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and dedicate 2 years. And if I dedicate 2 years, by the end of 2 years, I want to be able to play a tune.
Yeah.
So I have that kind of a mindset. Like, I want to be able to play a tune.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Yeah.
But as simple as that sounds, it's very difficult from what I've seen through all the years for people to start an activity, a hobby, and to just see it through.
And see it through. No, absolutely. I kind of have a similar mindset. The other day I was listening to some old school The Strokes. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know who The Strokes are.
Yes, I do.
They have a song called Trying Your Luck. Mm-hmm. And I was just jamming. I was like, you know what? I believe I can play that song.
Yeah.
I'm a hobbyist when it comes to like the guitar. I'm not like good, I would say. But I was like, I can play that. And got on Musician, looked up the notes, found the right pattern for the strumming, and boom, there we had it maybe like in a week.
Yeah.
Had it down. So, and it's fun.
Oh yeah.
It's fun.
Oh yeah.
It's like, okay, well that's off the left. So what happens with me is that like I figure it out, I do it, and then I'm like, all right, I'll put that in the back burner, and a year later, if I try to play it again, it's like I forgot.
Yeah, so, I get that.
So that happens a lot, but But yeah, no, back to that mindset. It's about that drive, and people don't understand that. And you know, especially I'm sure with working out too, which is a problem of mine, is that because I'm not really interested in you know, I guess body health, which I should be.
Yeah.
I do such a bad job, and I'm trying to turn that around. Looking for some motivation and inspiration from you. We'll see.
Yeah.
And get back on it, right? So I used to cut weight all the time, but yeah, completely out of it. But just trying to touch on your point is that, you know, that discipline of like seeing it through. So that's very important. So what are you currently doing for, you know, so what are you currently doing in boxing?
So I did my first match this year, which is also very unheard of to, you see, in my world of people who follow me, they follow me for bodybuilding. Okay. And they also follow me for fitness science education. Okay. So we got these two meshes which go hand in hand. So to them, I'm a bodybuilder and I'm getting ready for a show. I am prepping for months to get ready for a bodybuilding show. So they have such a rigid mindset where it's like, once you do that, you need to just focus on this, and it's became to me it's very easy. I know it's not easy for everybody, but the bodybuilding, the dieting part is very easy. I'm like, hey, you know what? Along this, you know, it's almost like a train destination. I'm like, hey, you know what? I can make a couple pit stops on the way to this destination. Of entering my first boxing match, and where somebody be like, no, you need to focus. I'm like, well, why though? You know, like it doesn't seem like it's that hard. Not boxing, oh my God, that is so hard. But all we're doing is just dieting, and we work out, you know, 1 hour a day. Like that's really not that hard. I could pick up another skill and go down in weight and do something that I want to show other people, like, hey, you know, even for boxing and MMA science, this is still also very new with research, but I can show like, hey, there's also better ways of dieting with full energy instead of crash dieting. Yeah. So I did my my weight was, I believe, 160, and I started my quest for the bodybuilding show months out, and as I got from 160 to 150, I started getting ready for a boxing match. And it was very scary. It's probably one of the most scariest things I've ever done. It is definitely not like sparring. Yeah. And even sparring the first time was very scary. Yeah. Sparring was very scary. Right. But when you're going against somebody who has been training for, you don't know how long. Right. You don't know what they've been doing, and there's a lot of mental stuff, and I love that I did it. And again, it was very scary. Even fight week, the week of, I had to. The real battle was in my head, just being scared of just so many different things, and I know that I wasn't prepared like I was supposed to. I think I really started prepping maybe like 3.5 weeks, I want to say, of just dedicated, like really. I've been going to boxing, but 3.5 weeks. To me, I sounded like the bodybuilders who I always shake my head to. I'm like, you've only been prepping for the bodybuilding show for how long? You're not prepared. You're not prepared at all. So for once, I finally felt not prepared, and so it was scary. And I went in there, and I definitely lost the first round. And when I sat down in the corner, I had one little pivotal moment in my brain. And in my brain, it showed me kind of cowering away. I said, well, I can cower away right now, or it was almost like a choice. And then I said, or I could be like, all right, you're better than me. Let's see if I could do something different. Let's see if you could do that again. Wow. And I chose to go that way. That's okay. And the second round I barely won, and then the third round I lit the guy up. Wow. So then I won the belt on that one. Yeah. But that was a really cool experience, and a really cool decision that was going on in my brain as I was getting beat on that first round. Just like, it was crazy. And that was the unexpected, and that was probably the part that I wasn't prepared for. But I came back, and then whenever I decided to do another boxing match at 140, another 10 pounds, which is just weeks, literally 3 weeks before my bodybuilding show, everyone's watching me at like 0% body fat. Wow. And they're like, how are you doing a boxing match? Like, you don't do that. Right. And I said, yeah, you do that. But and then I went in there. This one I prepped for 10 weeks.
Okay.
Now 10 weeks, 5 days a week.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is how you're supposed to, be prepared. And in that one, I got the KO in the second round, and it felt great. But again, that week, I was still scared, but not in a different way. It was just in a different manner. It wasn't of the unexpected, because now I know what to expect.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. And so now the final destination is going to be next week in Washington D.C.
Okay.
where I do my IFBB Pro debut bodybuilding show.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So these boxing fights. So you did win a title. Are these amateur titles or are these pro titles?
Amateur, USA amateur.
Okay. Awesome. So
USA amateur masters.
Wow. Okay.
So also letting people know that it's not too late. Things go in my head all the time where they're not wrong. They're thinking of it. So yes, they are wrong. They're thinking about it the wrong way. When I first got into boxing, I had a buddy of mine. He's maybe 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
And we grew up together, and he said, oh, yeah, I saw you post a few things on the boxing. He goes, yeah, man. He goes, I try to do that a little bit, but you find out real quick it's a young man's game.
Sport.
Yeah, it's a young man's sport.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I said in my head after that conversation, I was like, well, it's the way you're looking at it. I mean, are you trying to be Canelo?
Right. Because
then that's a different story. Yeah,
right.
Maybe I should have started then. But if I'm 34, because I think I was 34, 35 when he told me that, I was like, you got the whole life. You don't ever want to. You can pick up a skill,
That's
and
true.
You're learning it for yourself.
Yeah.
And you can even have fun and be competitive in this sport. Even with MMA, they have Masters division. They have a 74-year-old. This guy's a stud. Like this guy, he's like 6'1". He drives this Mercedes. I even saw him come out. He even fought on this last fight. He fought on my first fight that I went, and then he fought on this fight. And this guy is just kicking butt, taking names,
wow.
and good-looking guy. I mean, he's 74. It looks like he's way younger.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And I asked him for some advice, and he's like, "Man, just do 2 bouts a year." He goes, keeps you in shape, keeps you sharp.
Yep.
And I mean, he's doing it. You wouldn't tell a 74-year-old. I mean, this guy is like, he's lean. He has some veins coming out, slender guy.
Yeah.
Even when he came out, I didn't actually even know that he was going to compete in this boxing match because he came out all GQ.
Yeah.
I'm like, man.
That guy's a winner, man. He's
I know,
trying to sell himself already.
That's how I want to be one day. And so, yeah, I think those kind of, I heard a quote maybe about 15 years ago from Jackie Chan. He was, they had I don't think anybody ever heard of this one, but they were asking him like, how often do you train? And he was like, he was very confused about the question because he said, I'm like, when are you going to stop? And he goes, I'm going to keep training until I die. Like, what's the reasoning to stop training? He's not like he's going to do MMA. They weren't asking him for like stunt work. They were just like literally every day waking up, going through his routine of fighting and punches and kicks. And he's like, why would you stop?
Right.
So it's very silly how a lot of people would think that, okay, you need to stop now. It's like, for what? For why?
Yeah.
It's not like he's not going to get his head beaten in at some, there's room for everything. And I think people kind of have that small mindset a little bit.
I think people beat themselves before even giving themselves a shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happens, and I'm a big believer in failure, right? Just trying it out until and then if you continue to fail in what you're doing, okay, pivot, and see what else but don't quit at just trying anything.
Yeah,
I know I said a lot of stuff right there without saying a lot of things
no,
in there, but it's in there. The message there. So that is true. People beat themselves. I have buddies like that too, right? That myself have done that. You mentioned how you had an option in boxing to, as in if I go this way, I kind of cowered from it, and then the other way that I chose was to pivot and try something else. Since what I'm doing is obviously not working, right? You had that, and I want to ask. So when you're boxing, do you go into like a tunnel vision kind of state?
it does happen pretty fast. A little bit. I can hear my coach, and I can hear I can hear the advice he's given, and I'm doing what he says. But yeah, at some point, it's kind of it sounds weird, but it's kind of like I guess if you've ever jogged for long distance or swam for long distance, you can do something active and still have your mind thinking of a lot of things. So whenever I'm actually, the bell rings and we're in there just boxing, and it could be slow, it could be fast. Yeah, I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of process going on in my brain.
Okay. So how do you quiet that? Have you figured that out?
No, I listen to it.
Oh, you listen to it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're kind of just take it in.
Mm-hmm.
That's been one of the things that I've been trying to solve is, and I actually asked another guy yesterday, like how to make it quiet,
Mm-hmm.
right? How to make everything go away. Because I can't take vacation because I'm always looking at like, okay, how am I going to improve this or
Mm-hmm.
that, So, so it does become an issue. Listening to it, I try to listen to it, and then I get antsy and overwhelmed because I can't do all those things
Mm-hmm.
right how I wanted to get it done. So, but yeah, I took the other route, right? So like, I was able to get that option of like, okay, well, look, you can do this or you can do that. And mine was more of like, you're tired, man, and you didn't do enough cardio for this,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm about to shut down on you.
Yeah.
So that happened, and so that happened to me. But now that you say it like that, I was like, I did have the option. I could have just, went crazy and just started, throwing bombs. But no, I couldn't. I was just like, okay, I'm going to go for the takedown. Kind of took the easy way out, and he got me in a guillotine. And then I tried to slam him and didn't have the energy to do that. Sat there, couldn't take it. And then, I tapped. But I was ready for that second fight. Like you said, it was like I wasn't scared or anything. I was just ready. There's things that were unexpected, and so whatever. That's a different story. But the fact that you mentioned that, it's crazy because it is that way.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting into bodybuilding, right? I mean, you've been into bodybuilding.
Yes,
I can see it, right? And you're about to do a competition, a huge
Yes.
competition. So have you always been kind of fit? I mean, scrolling down the grid on your Instagram, you've been fit for quite a while.
Yes.
So, so I can ask you a question of, here's kind of just an average person like myself's problem, right? I dropped 30 pounds. And then I'm like, I'm not seeing any more results. I plateau. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I'm like, well, okay, I can afford 5 pounds or something. So I can eat pizza today. Right. So,
okay.
So I'm sure you plateaued, right? Mm-hmm. So what are you doing that keeps you burning, keeps you going?
So what I normally try to, so I do talks and lectures for like people in the medical center a lot, for the corporate offices during like their lunch and their health week or whatever have you. The way I like to look at it is, okay, so this is how I'd put it. Imagine having a 17-year-old kid, and the 17-year-old kid's been working for 1 year, and he finally says, "Hey, Dad, can you teach me how to budget money? Because I've been working for a year at Home Depot, and I'm not quite, I'm always out of money." Yeah. And then you tell your son, "Okay, well, pull up your Chase app account." And he goes, "I don't have that app." He goes, "You bank with Chase, right?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, pull up the account." "Well, I don't have that app." "Well, Dad, I don't want to be one of those people that want to have to pull out my app and look at my budget and my account. I don't want to be one of those people."
Right.
You would be like, "What do you mean one of those people?" Like, that's how you start to budget. You have to look at, do you even know how much you have in your bank? They're going to say, no, I don't ever look at that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You say, okay, do you even see how much things cost when you buy them? "Nah, Dad, look, I don't want to be that kind of person." Like, what kind of person? "I don't want to be the person that like looks up items and see how much they cost. Like, that's just not me. Right. I don't want to be that person." And so you're like, "So how do you go about buying stuff?" They say, "Well, I know this card right here. I know that I work at Home Depot, and that every 2 weeks money's going to go into this card. So I just buy things until it stops working. And then I know that, hey, in 3 or 4 days, money's going to go back into that account. At which point, I just continue to buy things nonstop until it just stops.
Right.
You'd be like, that's insane, son. I can't believe you've been doing that for a year. No wonder why you're broke. And he says, Dad, look, just tell me what to buy. Just make me a plan. I want you just to tell me the things that I need to buy.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's not in any way going to teach you how to spend or budget your money.
Right.
I mean, you're like, yeah. I mean, look, Dad, I know what I should be doing. I should probably be going to Walmart. I'll probably go to the dollar store. I probably need to be hitting up flea markets. And you're like, no, that's not how you do things. You have to learn to budget. You can go to the Galleria, but you have to be able to budget money. So that's exact same thing when it comes to people and their calories. People don't want to really budget calories, and I'm not talking about macros. That's just extra, and you don't need that unless you're like a marathon runner or Olympic person. But just your average person, even your bodybuilder, you need to be on a caloric budget, and you need to at least be able to see. And if you don't know how to count calories, then that's the same analogy as the money. So you don't know what you're eating, or because you don't log anything. It's like, well, no. Well, do you look at the back of it? No. I'm like, okay. Well, do you want to? Nah, I don't want to be one of those people that starts looking at calories. I don't want to have to be one of those people who starts doing this stuff. It's the exact same thing. They say, well, can you just make me a meal plan and just write the foods I'm supposed to eat? I'm like, you can just Google that. Yeah. You don't need me for that. And that's also not going to teach you anything.
Right.
So when we talk about the word plateau, 90% of the time is going to be user error. And this is just what's in research. It's going to be they're going to be either underreporting on accident. They're going to be underreporting their activity level, and they're going to be underreporting their food and overreporting their activity level.
Okay.
So in other words, I have people that sit down on my couch in the office and say, well, I already know what my problem is. My problem is I just don't eat enough. And somebody at the office said, if you don't eat enough, then starvation mode happens, which is a big myth. Okay. Starvation mode happens, so I know I need to eat more, which is actually incorrect. The people who actually clinically show that they actually eat 8 to 1,200 calories, at which point their body actually reflects it, is going to be people who suffer from anorexia and bulimia, but at which point their body actually does reflect that they are truly only eating 800 to 1,200 calories, because they're just, really small, underweight, 70 pounds, 80 pounds, 90 pounds, 90-pound humans. And their body is not gaining weight because they're eating too little, because that's not the way it works. But that's what a lot of people say, is that I know I need to eat more. And it's like, no, somewhere along the line, you just don't realize that you are eating more. Yeah. And so
for a 200-pound person, how many calories should they be eating?
200 pound, this is going to be completely rough estimate, but let's just say the world guideline would love for that person to be at 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day. So that means you are having at least an energy output. Yeah. And calories, if you're putting out that much calories, I would say a good 23 to 2,500 calories is going to be efficient enough for you to lose weight at a moderate to high comfortable rate.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And you're working out 30 minutes or more a day.
Yep.
There it is.
It is that simple, and it's very not that simple at all. Right. If we put you on a metabolic chamber, or let's just say a pretend gel for 6 months, and we had you just doing 8,000 steps and feeding you 2,300 calories, it's going to do its job. If we kept you in there for 12 months, you will be down all the way until your body gets low enough to be able to maintain itself at a 2,300 calorie. So you'd probably get down to about 145 pounds in a year until your body says, okay, now we're at a maintenance of the actual calories of 2,300 calories.
I see.
So at which point you want to lose more weight, then we have to bring it down to 1,900 calories.
I see. So.
But we are the error. We are the humans. We're the things that kind of, I don't want to say in the wrong word, get things wrong, but we're the part that kind of messes it up a little bit.
I see. So just because we're overeating and underreporting, like you mentioned.
Yes.
So I see. So as long as you get your steps in and you eat within that calorie amount where you, let's say, so I see. I'm trying to understand. I'm just trying to understand. So
you're getting it.
Yeah. So if I'm eating 2,500, I'm going to be losing weight up to
until that becomes your maintenance.
Your main walking weight.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. And a lot of people, but again, I said it's so simple but so difficult because food is amazing. Food is amazing. And people think that sometimes people are addicted to sugars. They're like, oh, I already know I got to cut all these things out, which is not a bad idea. And the reason why I say it's not a bad idea sometimes, you don't want to demonize these things. People aren't addicted to sugar. If people were addicted to sugar, I would see y'all guys right now with sugar cubes, just eating sugar cubes. But you don't eat sugar cubes.
Right.
You don't like sugar cubes.
Yeah, I don't like eating sugar straight.
But when you with sugar in a combination with fat, they make some very amazing. We can only be so happy to be here on earth that they make such amazing, tasty foods. That's why we have them for weddings. We wouldn't have something that we demonize for something so sacred as our wedding or our kid's birthday. The thing is, though, is that it tastes so good that we just want to keep on eating it. So we're not really addicted to sugar per se, but we are, in a sense, addicted to something that tastes so good. Okay, so we like to eat it more. I mean, that's all tasty foods because it's so tasty.
Right.
Just like if you and your significant other were on a budget, and you know your significant other went to go grab a Louis Vuitton bag, came home. I would ask her, I'm like, hey, is this bad? Is this evil? And she'd say, no, it's actually quite the opposite. It's quite great. But unfortunately, it was expensive and it did go over your budget.
Yeah.
And you can't just go crazy at the gallery and just start buying everything because that money will not only go back down to zero, but it might end up in the negatives.
Right. No, that should be something that should be taught in schools.
Yep. I have said this.
Right. So, but you know, we're not getting that in schools. So, yeah, we end up with a lot of people doing that, and it's crazy. But you know, awareness is a big key.
Awareness is very key. Yes.
You know, so and I think people end up maturing later on the older they get, or somebody kind of just understands it immediately. So. You're about to do this competition. How close are you to your goal body fat percentage?
So a lot of people would say that I'm ready there.
Okay.
But I think I can lose maybe about between today, Wednesday, and next Wednesday. I think I could lose another 0.5 pound of body fat. And then we do a thing where we kind of start giving me a little bit, because I'm in a deficit, but not even maintenance, but put me in a little bit of a surplus for maybe 4 days right before the show, just to kind of push those muscles out. But yeah, I think I can lean down a little bit more. So I'm about maybe 0.5 pound away from the goal, but I mean, I'm pretty much there already.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So you believe you got a good shot for this competition?
Good shot. So there's 2 parts to a bodybuilding show. There's you have to be lean.
Okay.
And you have to be the biggest one.
You gotta be lean, the biggest one.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm entering. This is gonna be I've always done bantamweight bodybuilding, but because I'm in the pros, there is no more weight classes.
Okay.
So it's just like MMA, which I've actually argued that they should have this in bodybuilding. It'll also keep people off of drugs and so much drug abuse.
Yeah.
But it's just completely open. I am going to be in the board shorts part of it, so it's of the smaller of bodybuilders of this class.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know I'm gonna out-lean everybody, and that already alone is a I beat you on that.
Yeah.
You know, so even if you don't win, you get like 5th or 6th or whatever, people will still come up to you and be like, dude, how did you get that lean?
Yeah.
Because we may have 20 pounds of muscle over you, but we didn't come in as lean as you.
Right.
Like, how did you do that? You know, I do take it for what it is. I know once you enter the pro ranks, you do have to start getting on a lot of drugs and stuff, and it's just not. I'm not against people who do that. It's just not. It's just not in the. It's just not in the plan for me. So I don't want to do that. what I'm mainly doing, what I like to always do, is to show and put data together to show people better ways to diet for their show as a prep coach, even myself.
Gotcha.
As long as alongside with my prep coach James Krieger, which is an amazing researcher. We put together plans of like, hey, Eric is doing it this way. Maybe there's better ways and better outcomes that you can have as a bodybuilder getting ready for your show to also look top notch,
Gotcha.
as much as you can. So conditioning and everything, I'm not even worried about that. I think I'm going to be the most conditioned guy on the stage. Now, as far as winning, there's going to be guys that are just naturally bigger than
Huge,
me.
yeah.
So
how do you compete? How do you show conditioning? Just
how lean, just visually.
Just by visual. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's also if your glutes are like ripped and peeled, which is very difficult, is next level stuff, because that's where the last bit of fat usually sits on people, either love handles or glutes, hamstrings.
Yep.
But if your glutes and hamstrings are lean, they're like, wow, you done did it.
Right.
So, and that's where I'm already at.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I saw it. If you haven't seen, don't know the handle, but I want you to plug it in at the end. So you guys haven't seen it, please go check it out and follow him. Check out this journey. It's amazing. I just followed, by the way. So, it's that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing all these things. So on top of that, you also created, if I'm not mistaken, if that's what I heard, you also created the strength vests.
Yes. So it's the experiment that I created, and actually, and I'm not a big-headed guy, but it is really amazing that I did this 3 years ago, and now everywhere I go, everyone's wearing a weighted vest.
Yeah.
And though they don't realize, indirectly it came from me. Like the whole thing came from me, which everyone at my gym knows this, and a lot of my friends in Europe and India and Scotland and just Canada, everyone, they always DM me all the time like, hey, started wearing the weighted vest. This has been throughout. The first time I did this, I got a lot of people's attention. This time I'm doing it, I'm gathering up a lot more attention,
right?
Because now all the major YouTuber fitness influencers with like million followers, whatever, they're all DMing me, and they're sharing my stuff on their stories. So now it's becoming really big. So
that's good.
That's why me and James are putting together a website where we actually where we're gonna sell ebooks. Like, okay, this is how you would wear it for fighting, for sports, for just your average Joe, just to enhance your cardio, for the extremist bodybuilder, like how I wear, because I wear 80 pounds on my body.
Yeah.
So I walk around every day as 220, and I only weigh 145.
Wait, hold on. You said you walk around
with the weight of 220.
Okay. Oh, with
Yeah.
the weighted vest.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. That's okay.
So that's why I'm able to eat so much.
Yeah.
But that's also why, because I'm eating so much, we've gotten blood work done, and my testosterone level is still, the last time I checked my testosterone level, just natural testosterone, a normal male should be 250 to 900. The last time I got it checked when I weighed 160, it was at 7. It was pretty high for just your average person.
Yeah.
But it was like 760 or 780, and in the research, your testosterone should drop about by 75%.
By when?
75% by the time you enter your stage. So it drops naturally because you're starving yourself. Essentially, you're starving yourself.
Yeah.
You're getting all the way down to 0% body fat, which is not healthy for your body.
Right.
So your libido crashes. Your testosterone completely tanks, which gives you foggy brain. Mood swings like you wouldn't believe. I mean, anywhere from being just a jerk to just crying and just all the kind of stuff. Imagine just drop of testosterone. My testosterone has dropped 15%. So it went from 760 down to 650, which 650 is completely normal.
Yeah.
Which normally I should be like in the double digits. That's how much it drops. Wow. It'll come back.
Yeah.
As you start feeding yourself, giving your body fat and all that kind of stuff. But because of that, I stayed strong. Yeah. I'm still squatting like 400 pounds and doing just weird things that you shouldn't be doing. Boxing, still running a business just fine.
Right.
Been able to drink beer every single week for all the. I'm a big beer drinker. Yeah. I love IPAs.
Me too.
Actually, we joked about it. I said, okay. I told all my clients this week. I said, hey, guess what? This past weekend. Finally, it was the first weekend I didn't drink. I go, and then we laugh. I go, I guess I'm getting hardcore now. Yeah. I guess it's getting pretty serious.
It's serious now.
2 weeks out from a show, now you decide to stop drinking.
That's crazy. What's your favorite IPA?
Let me see. When I go to movie theaters, they usually have the Lagunitas. That one's good. It's black and purple. I usually got it at this bar. I forget, and they have the green one with
Hobbadillo.
Oh, Hobbadillo. That one's easy because that one's everywhere. So right. Even if the ones who they're like, all we have is Hobbadillo, I'm like, I'll take it.
Yeah,
that's all you got. I'll take
it.
I love Hobbadillo. It's called something dust something.
Sounds familiar.
It has like a moon, like blowing stuff, and but yeah, I love IPAs.
Yeah,
I'm definitely a beer guy.
Endeavor from St. Arnold's.
Yes. Yeah. Oh man, I love Endeavor.
Yeah, those get you there pretty quick.
Yeah. So if people are asking, and actually the past few weeks though, the past 3 weeks, I would say the past 4 weeks, I went down to Michelob Ultras. And so now if people are asking me like if I'm craving food, it's weird because I have to tell them, I'm like, I'm eating a lot.
Yeah.
I'm eating 2,600 calories. I said, but I am craving, and I'm not craving sweets or all this stuff. I said, I just want my IPAs back. I said, I'm ready just to go back to Star Cinema Grill and get down, order my IPA, drink it. And
it's a lot of calories.
It is a lot of calories. That's why I had to switch to a Michelob, and it is not the same.
It's not the same. Yeah, it's definitely not the same.
I feel like I'm drinking like LaCroix of sodas, and I'm like,
I was on keto once. I want to talk to you about ketos. Get your thoughts on it. So first off, me and my friend have this conversation a lot. So we have to stay within 30 grams of carbs and 30 grams of sugar. Below that, you should be okay on getting into ketosis after a while. So my problem is that I remember I've ate more than 30 grams, and just a little bit more. So, but I stayed in keto, and I didn't understand that. My friend was saying is that you're counting on the nutritional facts. You're counting, the total number on the bottom, but what you should see is like the net.
Yeah.
On there, and that's what really matters. So is that what really matters?
Well, fiber burns more. It's more of a thermogenesis than the other macros, but this is what I would say about keto for people who are on keto.
Let's go.
It's a party trick for your body. In my opinion, it's now, I always say this whenever I'm talking to people in their diets, because I usually like for people to understand budgeting your calories. So I always tell people, even whenever I'm teaching classes, I say I'm not here to change your food religion. If you want to do intermittent fasting, great. If you want to do paleo, keto, vegan, carnivore, even all of these 5 are great. But if I ask each one of them, like, but do you count the calories? And they go, no, I don't understand. I don't ever do that. I go, this is what you need to do. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here. So if you said like, hey, Eric, I love everything you just said, but I'm an intermittent faster. I'm like, that's great. So anyways, your budget is still this.
Yeah.
Just do your intermittent fasting within this budget.
Right.
Or if they say, well, Eric, I don't do carbs. I'm keto. I'm like, great. Doesn't change anything. I need you on this budget if we're going to lose weight.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what keto does is, like I said, it's a party trick. for your body in the sense that your body prefers always to use carbohydrates converted into glycogen and use that for fuel.
Yep.
Your body always loves that for fuel. So by starving it from that, at first you're gonna get, they have what you call keto adaptive. That just means you are gonna crash really hard when you get into it. Most people can't get past the break of the waves until it starts getting more comfort level. But what that hard part is their body has to now say, okay, we get it. You're not gonna give us carbohydrates. So now what we gotta do is we gotta convert the fat and protein that you're taking, we gotta convert that into glycogen. So then your body starts becoming efficient in utilizing that for glycogen because you're not giving it the glycogen that it really wants to use. Right. So at that point, now you're in ketosis, and now you're using the fats and the proteins for glycogen. And it's like, okay, so now what? It's like, no, that's cool. Well, it's like, well, like for what purpose though? You know, you're still based off of calories. Yeah. So like people who are like always in and I always forget this. Which one is indigenous people? Is it Antarctic or Arctic? You don't know?
No.
Okay. One of them people live on. Okay. So
Arctic.
Arctic. Okay.
Yeah.
So in Arctic, they don't have any plant-based anything. Yeah. Okay. So they're all on keto. Right. Because they're only able to get the fish and eat the meat. Mm-hmm. So that is it. So their body is always in a keto state, and they're doing just fine. Yeah. Okay. Now some of them could be overweight. That doesn't matter. But their body is utilizing fat and protein for glycogen. Got it. Okay. Also, the people who live the longest in the world, they wrote a book on this. The people who live the longest in the world are based off of rice and carbohydrates, just strictly carbohydrates. Now, is it because of the carbohydrates, or is it because people started mating with each other that all happen to live long? You know, that could be a factor too. Yeah, that could be it too, yeah. But that being said, you have to always think about what's sustainable and what's more adherent. Is that okay? And how you're going to feel like if you get out of ketosis. Is this negative connotation for yourself? You know, you have to factor all these things in. Is that we're in a world full of carbohydrates. Your body does prefer carbohydrates, but that doesn't even matter. If you decided like, hey, you know what? Keto is right for me. I'm still going to be here like, okay, but how many calories? Are we losing weight or are we gaining weight? Because I'm here as a body recomposition coach. I'm here to, when you come to me, I'm not a registered dietitian. I have a colleague that's a registered dietitian. So if you have allergies or anything, you go to that person. But for me, do you want to gain some weight or muscle, or do you want to lose some body fat? Okay, in that situation, you can do it. You can do whichever style you like, but I need to make sure you're keeping account of those calories. And if you want it to be optimal of the actual muscle building blocks that you're getting, let's also just take a look at one macronutrient, and that macronutrient is protein. Yeah. You don't have to be like so anal about it, but let's just keep an eye on it. If after 4 days you notice that it's like at 90 grams, let's see what we can do to bump that up. But we try to make it as easy as we can for people. And when people that are unsuccessful with keto, it's because they've been spending their whole life eating carbs, and now they're going to do a trick where they're like, hey, let's try to take this thing out just so our body can now force itself to utilize protein and fats for glycogen for energy. Right. Now there's also the part where when somebody does go back and introduce themselves back into carbohydrates, it's not that carbohydrates has any kind of main negative impact physiologically speaking, but they more so mentally are like, well, now I can't stop eating carbs because I took it out, and so now I love it so much. Yeah. And so that sometimes usually happens, and that sometimes aids into weight gain past the point to where they even started to begin with.
What I notice is that I'll lose 30 pounds in a month, and then I'll put it right back on extremely fast. And probably even bigger than I was before. Yeah, you
have a stomach hormone called ghrelin, and the more you offset ghrelin, the more it takes about it could take anywhere from like 3 to 5 months for that ghrelin level, your stomach hormone. So what that stomach hormone does is you eat. Imagine being taken to the hole in prison in a third world country, and they're not giving you no water, and you're so dehydrated. and then you finally come out and you drink until your belly actually hurts, but then it's still sending signals saying, no, give me more water. You're like, but I'm so full. Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. Give me more water. And then you drink another bottle of water and you can't move. You can't move, but you're like, I'm thirsty. I'm still thirsty. Huh. So that's kind of like what grilling does with food. And that's a big issue we have with bodybuilders that come out of a bodybuilding show, is that they can't stop eating until they're grilling low. I mean, they can't stop eating, and they start having body dysmorphia. It's very typical for bodybuilders to come out with eating disorders. Yeah. And a lot of the time they don't even understand the body, and that grilling level has to normalize itself, and it takes, as long as severe as your deficit was, it takes 3 to 5 months. In some crazy cases, in women, it's been up to I believe about 10 months before that grilling level finally normalizes. That says, hey, I'm full, and I am full. Not I just ate until my stomach hurts, but I can still go. Just give me like 20 minutes to let this food go down, and we can go to Dairy Queen, and we can still go to town. That's a real thing that happens with people. Huh. So that a lot of times happens with sometimes people with keto, that they're just like, man, it's because it offsets that ghrelin hormone that says, I'm done eating and I'm full.
Huh. Okay. I'm going to look up into all this. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to rehear this so then I know what I need to Google, man. That's awesome. I appreciate all that knowledge. Mm. So I got friends, and we work out, try. For example, I have like a friend that's fat, mm-hmm. right? And I tell him I'm not a coach or anything like that. I just know that cardio burns fat, right? Mm-hmm. And increasing your heart rate will help you burn fat. Mm-hmm. He doesn't like to do that. He likes to lift weights, mm-hmm. right? But not fast weights. He likes to just lift heavy, which makes him even look even bigger. Okay. Right? So is that even right, his logic versus my logic on, what you should do?
Well, now, is his logic implying that all he needs to do is that to lose weight?
He believes that, he's okay with just lifting and he'll be fine.
It just depends. Yeah. If you want to lose weight, you're gonna have to put yourself in a deficit. So even if you wanted to be a power lifter and just lift the big 3 for a few reps, you can still lose weight, but you're gonna have to start moving more. Yeah. Just like you say, cardio is great. Cardio is great for cardiovascular health. But simply though, he's just going to have to start moving more. So if he tracked his steps, we'd have to put him also on, 7,000, 8,000, 10,000 step a day. And if he looks at his watch at the end of like 3 days and it says it's an average of like 3,200 steps, then he's not moving a lot. Yeah. And if he's also just kind of eating, just kind of mindlessly, whatever. Yep. But if we actually tracked it and it shows, that he's eating quite a bit, it's like, okay, well, there's no really structure to that. It's just he just has more of a just lift weights and like live, laugh, and what's that? Live, laugh, and
live, laugh, and love.
Yeah, and love. So he kind of has that kind of mentality. Like just lift, eat, and be happy. Yeah. But if you did want to structure it, though, you are going to have to do some things and put yourself in a deficit.
Yeah, the deficit is by your calories, mm-hmm. right? Awesome. So bodybuilding aside, you're also a business person. You're an entrepreneur. Yes. Right? You said you have a gym. Yes. You said 1,000 square feet?
10,000.
10,000 square feet. 10,000 square feet. Great, man. And so you have that gym. I want to ask a little bit of the, how you're doing with the gym. How's it going?
It's good. Business is great. I get asked. Gyms are popping up everywhere, and I get asked by young people that say that they want a gym and they want to be a gym owner too. And I've been on other interviews too, and I don't always necessarily like to sound negative, but I've seen two things in my life that really gotta really ask them, like, what's their cliche, but like, what's their why for doing it. But in my mid 20s, I would watch a lot of he was a chef, Robert Irvine. And what he does is, I think it was called Restaurant Impossible. So when your restaurant was already failing, you'd email the guy, and maybe the producers would pick up your restaurant. They would go, and he would come in. He's a big, swole English guy. He had a military background, but he's also an amazing chef. So he would go in and pretty much just audit everything. So he would go in and say, like, okay, where are you buying this toilet paper from? Where are you buying this food from? This is dirty. Yeah. Go ahead and cook me your best meal. The menu's too crowded. Why don't y'all have a good team working here? Like how come these people aren't rotated correctly? Yeah. You're failing as an owner. That's why this whole thing is failing. Or you're failing as a manager. Yeah. So I've seen almost every episode of those, and it always ends up the same way. He asks them like, why did they get into the restaurant business? Most of the time, it's older retired people that said, well, you know what, me and my wife, we always wanted to own a restaurant. Mm-hmm. We always wanted to own a restaurant. We had some retirement money, or we had settlement money, or we had some kind of money, and we really, and he goes like, yeah, let me guess, he just really wanted to own a restaurant. Yeah. Said, what did you do before? Said, I sold cars. So okay, so you never worked as a server, you never worked as a cook, you never worked as a bar back, you never worked bartender, you never worked as a manager of a restaurant. You didn't do any of the shifts of a restaurant. What made you think that this was actually going to be successful? Right. And sometimes I imagine him walking into my gym and being like, okay, what's the cleanliness like here? How much, let me see your books. Let me see all the profits you're making. Let me see all the stuff. And sometimes I don't have the answer to these things. Yeah. And I mean, that's how I check myself sometimes. And so, I never really wanted to be, per se, a gym owner. Yeah. It just was the evolution of, I was always a glorified personal trainer. Yeah. Even as you hear me talk about all this training stuff, you hear that I have a lot of passion of the actual training part of it. The gym was just an added evolution to it. But I used to also deliver beer while I was training when I was in my mid-20s, and I would deliver beer in Midtown and downtown. And I remember always, and I always kept a mental note of this, I would go in and give people their first kegs, and I would see the sparkle in their eye. And usually be 3 people that were fairly young. When I say young, like 27, 24, 25. They all got their MBA. They all got like some loans out. Yep. And they're like, okay, because I got this MBA, and I would see them like setting everything up, and I would just be the guy that goes in there, and I could see them always just like, okay, we're gonna put that there, we're gonna put that there, and I would give it to them, and I would give them the beer from Bud Light, and maybe months down the road it's already shut down. Huh. It was already shut down because they didn't have that experience. They weren't the person who spent every waking hour just loving cooking, just working every avenue of a restaurant. Yeah. They just, that wasn't them. Right. They just said, hey, I just got a business degree, this should work. Right. So when people want to do a gym, I don't think that they're in it for the right reason. I think sometimes they see me or they see other people and they say, yeah, man, that's got to be cool. Yeah. I'm like, nah, it's $7,000 a month rent. Right. Is that cool? That's not cool. That's not cool. Yeah. Like, this thing costs money. Yeah. And
how long of a lease? How long of a lease?
Right now, I'm about to do 1 more year lease, only because now I'm looking at buying a piece of property and building on top of a property.
There you go.
So that's going to be the next step for me. Only because, again, the evolution of it, you do have to go these small routes. I always kept growing out of myself. And you do have to pay rent to a certain extent until you feel like, okay, now I have enough people. Now let's go ahead and do something where now it's going to be money that I'm actually going to be mine. Yeah. Yeah, so there's just so many steps that I don't think people understand what they're really asking for or actually really wanting in any business. Whether it's you're going to own a bar, you're going to own a restaurant. Restaurants are the biggest failing rates, and I'm not trying to be negative, but this is the reality. And when you look at things, you can't always just go with motivation. I'm a man of logic and reasoning, and you do have to look at the logistics of it.
You just got to be aware. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen a lot of gyms pop up here and there, and I've seen even people that are just they work out themselves, right? And they started training. They rented out a, like, let's say a U-Haul garage, and then started just training people out of there. So just even little mom and pop shops, right, that pop up like that. But then I started getting targeted by this guy with a mustache, and he's really big, and he sells packages on, like, how to start a gym. He even...
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't trying to open a gym, but I was targeted by the ad campaign, right? So I know that it's a thing, and I can only imagine somebody that works out say, oh, I can open up a gym, you know? And boom.
Yeah, I've actually heard it's a different model than mine, because mine's an actual membership-based gym.
Yeah.
I heard that they do pretty good. It is a copy and paste, but it is a copy and paste that it does work.
It does work.
I'm not sure about the length of how long it works, but I do know that I have heard though that. They go based off of group training, and it has to be a small boutique type, thing or whatever.
Yeah.
So definitely not in my avenue, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Right. I guess you did an okay job of marketing, since I was able to bring it up here.
Yeah.
So you do the gym. It's more of just like, hey, come in, like a 24 hours, we have stuff.
Yes.
So what's that added value that you brought into the gym to get more people?
Man, I can always be the worst critic of myself, because I see other people's dancing companies, their gym companies, just different companies, and everyone has such different personalities that can work for them. When I look at one of my friends that has a similar gym, he just everything has to do with personalities, and he just has the personality where he can drive and go anywhere, and he could set up shop. He'll talk to anybody, and he's just the type where he can just go into like a Rockets place and be like, hey, I'm blah 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 and blah blah blah, and let me set up a booth here, and they'll be like, okay, yeah, sure, and I like that. I like looking at all these personalities. Not that I'm trying to ever imitate, but there's something you can take from all these personalities. Be like, hey, let me bring a little bit more of that part of me out a little bit. I have another friend who has a gym, and he's very good at community. So then I look at that part, and I'm like, yeah, let's bring that part out of me a little bit more. And then I have another friend where he's a very influencer type, and he's very good with marketing. I'm like, okay, let me improve on that a little bit. Yeah. So I like seeing them, and we're all very completely different, and we're all friends. And then they may look at me and be like, oh, well, Eric is the bodybuilder science guy that's a trainer, and he's really like hardcore into that. Yeah. And they might tell themselves too, like, hey, let me bring that part of me out a little bit more.
Yeah, kind of feed each other.
Yeah, so I really like that, as far as how everyone's doing it, and just trying to, but at all those different personalities, it's their biggest strength, and that's why each one is successful in just a slightly different way. We're all successful in just a slightly different way, based off of our personality and what our strengths are at.
Yeah. So you have these friends. They all own gyms. They're all successful. Mm-hmm. Did y'all ever talk about, like, hey man, let's just team up and create the ultimate?
You know what? I'm maybe the oldest cat.
Yeah.
I have thought about that. I haven't told them yet, but I have thought about that. Because a few of them bicker with each other. Yeah. I am what they consider like the older what do they call it when you're just even Steven with everybody.
I wish I could help you.
The happy median. Well, we could just say that I'm the happy median of everybody. So sometimes some of them don't like each other a little bit.
Yeah.
But if they actually just stopped bickering and looked at the bigger picture of what we could accomplish, with all of our different types of styles, it could be. We could stop thinking about our single gyms, and it could be something really big.
Right.
I think I need to sit them down one day, and if not, then we would still be just fine
Right.
with ourselves.
Right.
But we could do better. We could be bigger, be bigger,
course.
and do better. So
People just get, greedy. And that's the biggest problem, I believe, with partnerships and things like that. But, if you can use 1% of everybody, not everybody's working 100% all the time, then it becomes easier and growth becomes faster.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of their age. I mean, because these guys, even though some of them bicker with each other, they're all amazing. None of them are like shady or weird or anything like that. They're amazing guys.
Yeah.
Driven guys, and I even look up to them, even them being younger, like 27, 28, 29.
Yeah.
But
How
yeah.
are you, if you don't mind me asking?
37. I'll be 38 in April.
Okay. April what?
April 10th.
Okay. April 16th.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always, even when I look at businesses, your business should be evolving.
Always.
It's not, and it should be a natural evolution. I don't think that I also don't have the mindset, which a couple of those guys may have the mindset of this. I don't have the mindset of like, I got to get bigger, better, bigger. But it should just naturally, actually thinking about it now, it's kind of like how I tell people when they work out. I say, hey, look, when they're sitting across from me, I say, look, I'm not trying to make you the Incredible Hulk, because sometimes they look at me like, I don't want to look like you. I was like, well, that's kind of rude, but
that is rude. Why
not? but they're like, I don't want to be big. I'm like, look, I said, you are going to get stronger. Our goal is not to make you look like the Incredible Hulk. I said, but it's going to be a natural evolution that when something gets easier, you're going to have to go up in weight, and you will get stronger. Right. Sorry, my bad.
Right.
But sometimes when I see businesses that have been in business for 15, 20 years, and they're the exact same.
Blockbuster.
Yeah. You said this earlier, but you gotta, you have to roll with the punches and adapt, and not be so set in your ways. Everything, I always say this. Everything's always subject to change.
Yeah.
Everything is always subject to change.
Yeah.
Let's have a plan, but hey, it's subject to change.
For
and you got to be able to adapt and roll with the punches.
Always.
Or you're just going to stand there and get punched.
Exactly. Always. No, so you have this gym. Are people coming in, like Alex said, so they're just coming in, they're using the equipment, and it's a membership.
Yes. We have a cardio room, a membership area, a strength training part of it, and then we have a blocked off personal training area, so we're not using their equipment, and we're not hogging theirs, and they're not using ours. So it's sectioned off. Any
classes that you do that are free for the members, or is that nothing like that? It's just kind of just gym membership. But then on the side though, you also do personal training still.
Yes.
Right. So you have your clients that are using your business as a personal trainer, do they have to be members at your gym in order to get trained?
It is just like a 24-hour fitness connection.
Got it.
They have to have a membership, and then they get training.
Got it. Mm-hmm. Is that part of their membership, or is that an added cost?
It's an added cost.
It's an added cost.
Yeah. So the membership is $30 a month with a $30 enrollment fee. And then usually they'll ask, do you offer personal training?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, we offer personal training. And if you get it today, then we'll take off the enrollment fee. So it's pretty much a $30 a month membership.
And if somebody wanted to get personally trained?
That one is going to be, it's normally priced $350, but if they do like 6 months, it goes down to $296. If they commit for 12 months, it goes down to $280 a month.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, and that's for 16 sessions. So they pretty much see me 4 days a week, which is like all week.
Yeah, exactly.
And they need the few days off.
Yeah, yeah. So now that I kind of know pretty much everything that you're doing, who is Eric Lee Salazar? Like, where do you come from? Like, give me a little bit of a background, because not everybody just, hey, I'm going to do all this stuff, right? So we all have our journeys. There's a lot of failures in there, I'm sure. But who are you?
I would probably say that I have a very, the personality that I have is coming from viewing a lot. I view and I digest and I try to. That's just the way my brain's always worked. I like to see every angle and every side, and I like to understand, agree and disagree. That's probably just from me growing up. I definitely was a bad kid in school. I got in a lot of trouble.
Are you originally from here?
Yes, from Pasadena.
Okay. What high school did you go to?
I went to Dobie, but I mainly grew up in Pasadena.
Okay.
Yeah, Dobie is right there next to Pasadena.
Yeah.
It's a Pasadena ISD school district.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got in trouble a lot. But I think it's just my eyes and my brain. I always looked. I look a lot and I try to analyze. I like to analyze people and personalities, and not in a probing way, but just in a way that I could see the complexity in how people make decisions and people's failures, because I have those same failures. When people fall, there still is redemption, and I like to see the evolution of people's redemption. Just like I told you, even at that moment, whenever I got in that first round, my brain says, I saw a visualization of me like in a fetal position, cowering away and being like, hey, I'm way in over my head. I'm not ready for this. I can't do this. Or I saw myself standing upright and being like, hey, let's face this. Right now is a decision making. Which way do you want to go, Eric? So, even being in trouble as a kid, went to jail a few times.
Yeah.
That really helped me see a lot of things too as well. Not for anything too serious.
Yeah.
Just the normal mischief stuff as a young Hispanic boy.
Yeah.
But working with clients, seeing the research and seeing it firsthand of why dieting is so hard. Competitors.
Yeah.
Why people choose to try to want to attempt to compete. Why do they succeed? Why do they fail? Why do people want to get into businesses?
Yeah.
Just people's reaction, and I like to take it in and digest it as much as I can. So I mean, that's like I said, I have a very complex brain that goes weird.
Do you read? Do you read a lot?
I do read, yes.
What's a good book that you recommend?
Man, one that just really stands out. I like the what is it? Man's Search for Meaning. Everyone, I feel like, reads that book.
I've never heard of it.
Okay, that's with last name Frankel. Everyone always references him.
It's gonna be good for me.
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing because it just basically just says to like all the bad things in history, that the worst things that you would never think ever, like just the most, like what's wrong with these people, like that is us. We have that option to do that.
Yeah.
You have the option to be as violent and as loving as you can.
Yeah.
But your brain knows how to organize things a little bit better, where you're going to choose not to go and slice someo's neck and take their money.
Exactly.
But that code is in you though.
Yeah.
And so like I said, I'm always somebody in thought, and whenever I'm working out and everything like that, I'm thinking of all these things. So I just constantly go and also always constantly think of there's never going to be a stoppage as far as things that I do. I love to do things. I like to see them through, and I like to always learn, and never to ever think that to talk down to anybody or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just amazing the sponge that you have in your skull, and how much information you could put in there and interpret in very positive ways.
Yeah.
Once you start organizing things in your brain a little bit, you can have some really cool positive interpretations come out of there, which comes out of your mouth.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I think like that. I think mine is more like I focus on an activity that needs to be done that week, right? A project that needs to be done that week, and then the whole week I'm just like I can't think about anything else, and I don't get to relax, which just sucks. And so I'm trying to conquer that. And I think paying attention to my thoughts and how I think, like you were saying, I think would be even better for me to do that. It's just really hard to shut it down. But what you said you're Hispanic. What where are you so were you born here or are you first generation American?
I think on both sides of my parents, I am maybe fifth or sixth generation Hispanic.
Okay.
Yeah. We've been here for quite a while. My dad's side of the family, they grew up maybe about 60 minutes south of 59, and my mom's side of the family all grew up in Pasadena for generations.
Really?
Yeah. So what they say, I read this on a T-shirt the other day. It said
Texicans?
No, it said American made, but with Mexican parts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So have you been to Mexico?
Yeah, like the destination parts.
Okay.
Not
like Cancun and stuff.
Yeah, I think I went on a cruise once, and
yeah.
I don't really consider that being in Mexico. And then I've been in Mexico City just for a flight out, but no, not truly taken in Mexico. No.
You travel a lot?
I do travel a lot. I've talked about this. My clients yell at me for this, but when I travel, I don't really take the vacation. Me going to nutrition, exercise, science conferences is a vacation for me. But I go there, I go straight to the conference, and I have drinks with all of them afterwards. We all laugh and enjoy our company, and then I head home. So I never really enjoy the places normally that I go. Been to London a few times, Dublin, Chicago, New York, California, Washington quite a few times. But Florida for conferences, but I never
should at least try the beer in each place. Like
I do. No. That I do. Yeah, that I do. And people are like, Eric, these aren't vacations. You're taking first flight out Friday and you're already coming back Sunday.
Yeah.
And you're in the class the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's my vacation.
Yeah.
But I am going on a cruise in a couple weeks for 7 days.
That's awesome. Where
And
are you going?
I'm not real sure where we're going. I didn't pick the cruise. It was my cousin's.
Yeah.
And it was one of those where it was like a few months ago where my cousin said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go on a cruise," and I was like, "Oh man, y'all let me know. I'm down for that."
Yeah.
And then she said, "Okay, we got you booked for," and I was like, "Oh, I didn't." In my head, I was like, "I didn't quite mean it like that," But then in my head, I'm like, well, I haven't spent time with them in a while. I was like, yeah, let's do this. And then a few weeks later, after I paid, I said, so how long is it? Is it 4 or 5? She goes, it's 7 days. And I go, oh. So now I've been mentally preparing for that.
Yeah.
And I am going to enjoy myself because I have been on a cruise before, on a 5-day cruise. Yeah. But this time I got all my ducks in line. I'm usually worried about my clients, but I have my trainer assistants that are going to be taking care of it.
Perfect.
So when I go, I need to be like, Eric, relax, bro.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Have a great time.
Yeah.
So you're originally from here. You grew up in Pasadena. I'm sure you have a lot of family that probably live here in Houston.
A lot of family.
So you're bad in your childhood. I grew up in the Southwest, so I'm not giving Southwest a bad rep or anything, but you know how it be. And but you come out of that, right? Mm-hmm. So like, what made that mental shift for you? I know I know you said that you did maybe some time. Did that play a big part in it, or was it something afterwards? Did you?
No, you know what? It's weird. I would say that was still of a young person's mentality, and I feel like. Okay, so then I always wanted myself to be. I always want to, and this can maybe be a part of it, but I always told people I was older than what I was, only because I wanted people to talk to me a certain way. I didn't want them to talk to me like a kid. So even when I was maybe 24, I would tell people I was 26. When I was 26, I told people I was 30.
Yeah. How old are you right now, for real?
I am 37.
You are 37?
Yeah. Maybe
Okay.
I might start backtracking now. Maybe next year I'll be like, I'm 34.
Yeah, I forgot my age after 30. So.
I'm 37. But I always wanted to. I always seeked out knowledge with older guys.
Yeah.
Even people in our industry, like the researchers and the scientists. I did actually have a moment when I was 24 years old and YouTube was becoming this new phenomena, and influencers weren't called influencers yet, but that is essentially what they were becoming. And I was friends with some of these guys, and I had 2 routes I can go. And this was me as a 25-year-old starting to connect with other natural bodybuilders across the world. They started becoming really popular, and they had a little group, and we were all young bucks that were all natural bodybuilders now on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can go that route and just say like, hey, I'm some handsome 25-year-old. I could pick up my shirt and abs and go like that.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really me in general. Like that wasn't already my personality, but I could do that.
Can you do that again for the camera?
The whole.
There it is.
Or I can go with something that I not only liked more, but also had more future stability, because I mean, looks and all that, they fade.
Yeah.
And I went more of the route of the people who are already mentoring these groups of very famous young men. I wanted to be closer to the actual source of information material that was going to best help elevate me in my skill set of knowledge, and it's more how I wanted to see fit for myself growing into the man that I was becoming. So, like I said, I always kind of went with the older guys as far as the knowledge and everything that they have, and even to this day, I still try to look at. Just like the 74-year-old, I wanted advice from him, because they have advice that I can't all the way maybe either comprehend or foresee, but I try to take in any little tidbits, and I try to listen to older people and regrets, and I listen very well. I don't think of it as like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, they don't know what they don't know what they're talking about if it comes to like social media, but they do know what they're talking about when it comes to life decisions and what they should have done, and what I am doing wrong, or what I need to be focusing more on. That as an older person, if they look back, and if they could go back, they would redo some of these things. So I'm like, well, that's me now. Yeah. So maybe I can work on it. Yeah, make that change now. You're a little bit in the future, kind of talking to the past, and I'm right here in the present. So. So yes, I guess that's the way I just naturally just got out of that. That was always I look at it like, well, yeah, that's what you do when you're a kid. I always say that sometimes when people get in trouble or they do sometimes dumb, idiotic things. I'm like, well, yeah, that's a 22-year-old. That's a 22-year-old brain. Right. Right. But you shouldn't be doing these things when you're 28, 32. Right. So I do have a couple friends in my life that were just as bad as me when we were kids, and they're still the same way, and they're not really progressing. Yeah. They kind of stayed back there. So that's how I sometimes think about it, is that they stayed back there with their mindset, and my brain was already on a progression mode. So I think that's by itself just naturally said, all right, well, it's not a good thing to get in trouble. Nor did I ever. I always thought it was kiddish to be a 25-year-old or 30-year-old trying to do bad boy stuff. Yeah, right. So, what was it that you saw? Because I have friends like that as well, right? So that something just doesn't click, right? What do you think? Is that just ignorance on just like, okay, I already know what I'm gonna, what the right thing is, but I rather this life. It's more thrillful, there's more thrill in this lifestyle. So I rather do this, and it's live fast and die, or, So what do you think was it that you were able to pick up on that they didn't? you know, I don't. It could be curiosity.
Okay.
You know, these things. I often wonder, not just with that particular example, but I often wonder, and you know, it could be genetics. It could be the person who is more genetically curious is going to seek out more. I do. When I was 27 years old, I thought I had a realization. And now I'm looking back at that realization as incorrect. But the realization that I had when I was 27 is you could actually truly do anything you want. Like you could do anything you want. Like you really can. And it was such a weird, cool mind blow for me. And as I was starting to now build my gym, and I was like, wow, like anybody can actually do anything that they want to do. It was so mind boggling to me. I was like, why aren't people doing that? Well, that was around when I was 27. Now you fast forward 10 years later, and I kind of look at it more like it's the human trait to, I don't want to say to be lazy, but you know how they say if the brain's always going to try to protect itself. And when it's faced with something challenging, it's going to veer away from that as far as to actually pursuing it because that's risk involved. And your brain, the way it processes risk is this is a risk on my life, and this is just genetics. So I believe that's the way humans are made. For when there's risk, they rather not do it. Like, would you rather? Could you leave your job and open up a business, or put your shop in a suite, or buy this? They're like, it sounds risky. The way my brain works and the way the human brain works is that if something's hot, I will react and not touch it anymore.
Yeah.
If I'm drowning, I start kicking and screaming. So, and especially when it comes to the fight game.
Right.
If there's any risk, they're like, nah, fam, I'm good with that. So it wasn't as simple as I thought it was, as anybody can do anything they want. They have something very, as I do too, but you have to learn how to channel, I guess have conversations with yourself to like, okay, I can do something. Now the part that I get scared about and the part that tells me, hey, don't do that, what can I do to that part of the brain and override that? And so a lot of times I think it's the break of the waves. And I never even seen this movie, the one where Tom Cruise is stranded on an island. Tom Hanks, is stranded on an island. The biggest hurdle was getting through the break of the waves. But once you make it through that little smallest part of the break of the waves, it's smooth sailing.
Yeah.
And I feel like right when you have a decision making point in your life for anything, it could be the smallest decision, but if there's risk, then that's the break of the wave that people just cannot get past. They cannot get past the break of the wave. But once you do go past it, then you can actually go past it again and again. Then you become more efficient with going past the break of the waves. So like I said, when I was 27, I thought it was something so amazing that anybody can do anything they want to. But now I look at it as like, no, we have actual chemical factors in our brain and our DNA that actually prevents us from doing these risky things. Endeavors. And that's the reason why people don't want to say can't, but just
choose not to
be able to do these kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just they want to stay at that 9 to 5 where they're safe, secure.
Yes, yeah. So again, like I said, I don't mean lazy, though some people are just lazy. Yeah. But I think that there's a big block, a big brick wall that they rather be safe, and that's fine. Yeah. But I just think though that they were meant for more.
Right.
Or at least not necessarily more. I think that I do believe that they were meant for more risk, and put it that way.
Yeah.
So not really like they're meant for more like if their level in my eyes of success means that they have 6 figures, or that's not what I mean.
Right.
But I do believe that everyone does have a lot more risk that they should take that they are not taking.
Right.
And as a result, sometimes that risk will come in the form of money, or maybe and that's great too. But I think the main thing is, I think everyone's made to have more risk than what they're actually doing.
I think there's a society that plays the society plays a huge role, right? When you have a McDonald's at every corner, and so it's really easy to stay in your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that society plays a huge role in that, especially here in America.
Mm-hmm.
My parents are from the Dominican Republic. I go there all the time. They don't have that luxury,
Mm-hmm.
right? They don't have AC, so they're wanting to do something, and I'm not hating on centralized AC. They do have AC, just not centralized.
Mm-hmm. Right?
You have sports people, baseball stars that come out of the Dominican Republic,
Yep.
and I've seen it. I've seen people there, and just a work ethic. There's more work ethic there than the average American citizen that has an iPhone 13 Pro.
Yes, it's true.
McDonald's down the
Yes,
street,
I agree.
hot running water. So I think that does play a huge role in it too. And even when you do get in trouble, sometimes the system gives you something to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I feel that people fall to that as well. And
Yeah,
by the
that is
system,
a
I
factor.
mean being bad, or even the system that's like, hey, look, you work for me for 40 years and I'll give you a pension, if they even offer that, right? And you give up your life for the next 40 years, 8 hours of your life every day.
Yeah. No,
So-
I agree with that. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, man, it's, I wanted to throw in, but you were going, and that was good. You were talking. So, but do you believe in organically doing everything that you're doing? Or do you take supplements?
No, I don't take supplements. And I always say this also in the classes that I teach. I don't take any supplements. I don't take any illegal supplements. I don't take any supplements. Actually, I do take one supplement. And I always talk about this. I take one supplement I've been taking pretty religiously for about 10 years, and that's melatonin.
Okay.
I just like melatonin. It's a natural thing. It just I like to have a restful sleep, and it doesn't keep me groggy. So I've been taking melatonin for maybe about 10 years now. And whenever I don't have melatonin, I can still go to sleep fine. I just like to take melatonin.
Right.
Multivitamin, I really only start taking multivitamin whenever I'm getting ready for a bodybuilding show.
Yeah.
Creatine, people always sometimes like, why aren't you taking creatine? I do sometimes, but I'm just so bad at taking supplements that actually somebody just helped me out. They said, and I actually did just buy this a few weeks ago because I don't ever take creatine, but they were like, why don't you buy the pill form, put it right next to your melatonin, and just take the creatine right before you go to bed? And I was like, look at that. That's like a cool little habit thing that makes the most sense.
I mean, it's easier.
And so I ordered the pill form and I put it right next to my melatonin. Yeah, I've been taking creatine now. So I don't take a lot of supplements, not because I'm just trying to be so all natural, high and mighty. I just take them because the majority of them do not work.
Yeah.
There's only just a small bit that do anything significantly that's going to be effective. Now I do take pre-workout, but when we say pre-workout, it could be a coffee, it could be a Monster energy drink. It could be an actual tub of pre-workout. People give me pre-workouts all the time, so when they say, which one do you prefer? I go, whichever one people give me for free. People always give me they're always like, hey man, try this bottle out, you can have it, man. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I'll take it before a workout. But it's not doing anything really for your muscles. It just says, hey, I'm awake now, I will have a successful workout. Caffeine got me going good. All right, now I'm in it. Let's do this. So that's all a pre-workout does.
Okay.
I should be taking fish oils, but I don't. Collagen, it's too expensive for the little result that it gives. Besides that, no,
protein scoops, or
yes,
you do
I don't, but I always tell everybody. I always tell everyone to keep a tub at your place just in case. I never hardly ever take protein shakes, ever.
Yeah.
But I always have one just in case, I don't know, I went so long without protein, or I went to go reach for some chicken or something. I saw that I ran out, and I'm just like, I don't feel like going to the grocery store right now, or just for some reason have it as a backup.
Yeah.
Because it's just powdered food. There's, you know, when I say supplement, I always forget about protein powder. But I think everybody should have protein powder. I actually just did a post the other day about how some people are the dangers of protein powders. This was a true conversation that I had with somebody about 15 years ago when I worked at Fitness Connection.
Yeah.
And she was a just no kind of a person. So I said, hey, with this training, you get this free protein shake. She goes, oh, I don't do that. I go, what do you not do? She goes, I just no, it's bad. I just know. And now, of course, this was 15 years ago. I wouldn't talk to somebody like this, but this was a younger person of me. And I go, but you just told me you have a 1-year-old kid. I said, don't you give your kid Pediasure? And she goes, yeah. I go, that's whey protein.
Yeah.
That's a protein shake.
Yeah.
And she was just, she didn't get training after that, but but that was but I actually just posted that recently where I showed a whey protein. I showed baby formula, and they both have the baby formula has whey protein all in it, and it's a powdered shake.
Yeah. I see.
So yeah.
Okay.
That was pretty mind blowing for people.
Yeah,
I'm like, for y'all thinking it's so bad for you, you give it to your newborn.
Right. That's hilarious.
Yeah, right on the back of the ingredients, whey protein, whey protein isolate.
They're not reading the nutritional facts like you've been saying this whole entire time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's awesome, man. I want to touch back a little bit. I know we're going on here for a bit. But I did want to touch on this though. So you opened up the gym. Mm-hmm. Back to what we were saying. So you have you started the gym. Now, how did you learn, putting together your business plan, your accounting, just kind of walk me through that.
I would probably say that, and I've been saying this for a very long time, that I am not a good businessman. That wasn't part of the plan per se. I just picked it up as I went. But I was very good in different avenues. So even sometimes when people think that I am not giving myself enough credit, it's not that. I know where my strengths are, and I do give myself credit for that. But I am also, again, I'm always a realist and very logical. And I know the things that I'm not good at. And so as far as advertisements, billing, structure, that's just, I've had to pick that up just along the way.
Yeah.
Just, with the advice of a lot of people, and now I got a good team working.
Yeah.
But even some of my friends, I always see them, and they're very like, I have a friend who he owns a breakdancing place. He owns like a few breakdancing places, and he's very structured. He's been breakdancing since he was a kid. He's been breakdancing since we were both kids, and now he has he's doing the breakdancing Olympics. He's sponsored by Monster, which I'm also sponsored by Monster.
Oh,
shout out to Monster. But he's very structured, and so I really like that. Even from my dad, my dad has always been very structured, and I am not very structured with certain things. So these are, again, I use these things as like, I take them in, I analyze them and try to improve myself to the best while still having the Eric kind of mindset, but still taking this tool for the toolbox in.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's been, again, I wasn't those people who had an MBA that said, hey, this is what I want. I'm pretty much what I see sometimes. And even these people, just like me, need help. Yeah. But just like the person who was a chef, that all she loves is just making works of art, doesn't stop reading books on it, doesn't stop going to conventions, doesn't stop going to different classes to learn a different technique and style. Food is obviously her deal.
Yeah.
And the dancer, where I mean, all he does is dance, all she does is dance, and all they do is go to dance classes to improve on different footwork and different techniques and different styles and different teachings, and they teach themselves.
Yeah.
Those people, they are the thing that runs the machine of this business, of this core business. But at any given time, they may not have been the one that had the MBA.
Yeah.
So they don't know the actual blueprints, and they're also probably just like me, just picking it up as we go along.
Right.
But it's still, in my opinion, much better to be that driving machine of your business, and then start learning, or have somebody come on that does know the business, as opposed to somebody who's purely business that knows nothing of the actual art of whatever it is that they're trying to get into.
Yeah. Do you ever clock out?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Right. It's just a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Cool, man.
Yep.
Wow, what a journey.
Yeah, man. It's a pretty cool journey. Some of the close ones to me, they often remind me, and I always look up to these people. I look up to a lot of my friends and things that they do, but yeah, they've expressed to me too that this is quite a journey, and my life in a day is it's different.
Yeah,
it's different.
How do you schedule your day? Because I know that you have it all organized with, obviously you have your time blocks for all the client personal trainers, and then you have your time block for your boxing, and then for bodybuilding, your dieting, your workout session. Do you do it the day before? Do you have an assistant that's like, okay, you're doing this today, No,
I do it maybe a few days before. I do have an assistant, and my assistant would probably say that I'm very unorganized, and she organizes a lot. But now, of course, she's joking. She just knows that I have a lot on my plate, so I think that's where she gets a little bit like,
yeah.
She's like, man, she's like, don't forget, but you also got to do this. Yeah. Well, how are you going to do this if you got to do that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
And I usually always make it happen, but it probably drives her crazy though.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's a hard part to do also, because I help entrepreneurs, and I help people, especially here, real estate agents, right? Where it's not everybody becomes a real estate agent overnight, or that's not the first thing that they want to do in their career choice. It's always a fourth, fifth chance. It's like, okay, I've tried everything else, but I really don't like a job, but I'll take a job, or I'll drive Uber, or I'll do something, and I'll get my real estate license. Unless you're one of those kids or adults that have a huge savings, and you're just like, I'm going to hit real estate full on. And when they come into real estate, it's not okay, look, man, you're going to come here from 9 to 6, and from 9 to 10, you're going to do this, right? You got to create your own schedule. You have to, clock in the morning on your own, because you're not really clocking in for anybody else.
Yeah.
So do you think that was a big drive for you? You think that having those things lined up and scheduled for you, do you think that played a factor in the success that you're having?
No. I think that would actually probably be more productive and enhance it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like that I would actually say all the time, like, no, I think that would actually be better if I had things a little bit more in line, like in that kind of way.
Yeah.
But some of my colleagues, the registered dietitian friends of mine, they always call me Team Wing It.
Team Wing It?
Wing It.
All right.
Because a lot of times I just wing it.
You got to sometimes.
Yeah, so I have one of my colleagues, Joshua. He's from Corpus. Me and him will both go and do a talk and a lecture, and his lecture would be on adherence, and mine can be on either weighted vest or bodybuilding. but he has to have everything down in PowerPoint. And he's like, man, I've been really stressing. I got to make sure this is right. I got to do. And then then me, I'm just like, oh no, I'm just gonna get up there and just start talking.
Okay.
He's like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you do that? So
Yeah.
when I'm at a class and I have a mic, I could talk pretty much with the years and the knowledge, not just because I'm a talker, not just because I'm trying to be a showboat or anything like that. It's just because of all the years and everything that I've seen and known, and these are things that I can talk to y'all guys about, and I can freestyle it in an orderly manner.
Yeah. And I can also see, because I see some traits that a lot of leaders have, is that you're also a great listener. You said you have mentors that are a little bit older than you. You're open to coaching, right?
Yes.
Even though you are a coach.
Yes.
And I feel that that's a good trait in you too, because it shows, that great leaders are great listeners too. So
Definitely.
and I see that you have a lot of information too in your head, so it comes easy to talk when you know what you're talking about, right? Yeah. Anybody that inspired you want to give a shout out to, or
I'd probably say a lot of people who inspire me are people that some of my friends who own businesses that or even that who fight, that people don't really know the real story. People just see the Instagram pictures, but they're not there through the whole day. So even whenever I post Instagram pictures or something like that, it's like, oh, cool, great, cool workout, cool that you walked on stage, your body fat's low, or like cool the boxing, but or cool gym, must be nice. They don't see the all day things. So some of the people that really inspire me are some of the ones who are helping me, who see the all day things that it takes to do something. And they not only encourage me, but they help me out in their own way of expertise.
Yep.
While they're still running their own business. So I really like that, but I also like to see, because I know, so if I see somebody who has a really good restaurant business, or who is just opened up a bar, or like the dance school, I know what they're actually going through, and that's really inspiring to me, because I know what they're going through in a whole day's worth of stuff.
Yeah.
And I know how it's like to deal with employees and to deal with clients and to deal with issues, and knowing how to, like I said, roll with the punches and adapt and be able to overcome.
Yeah.
So these things are pretty amazing to me when I see somebody do that. So
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be no one famous, but it could be. But for me, it's local people that I do know that has their own band.
Yeah.
And they have to struggle hard with their own band to put out their own music, to write their own things, to call and try to make their own gigs, and to do all this, and to find time to practice while they still have their families at home. And all these things are just grinds that I'm just like, man, I feel you, and I know what that is. So they really inspire me a lot when I see them on my social media, as opposed to other eyes when they see them on social media.
Yeah. I'm people like Leslie Gutierrez inspire me. Just the fire that she has for growth is insane, and then also setting up for us to meet, which is great. So shout out Leslie,
shout out.
She's a great spirit to also have around too. She has a very good energy. So that's really good. Where can we find your next talk, or where can we follow you on, any social platform, website that you would like us to visit?
Yeah, I usually announce my talks and lectures that I do on my Instagram. That's IFBB Eric Lee Salazar. That's where I do the most on my Instagram. We also have the gym Instagram, which is Flex Level Fitness on IG. On my Facebook, it's Eric Lee Salazar.
Yep. And what would be a way that we can, support you and would it be by following you, coming out and checking out a lesson at your place? What would it be? How can we bring you the most value?
Oh, following me.
Okay.
I like to put out great information.
Yeah.
I do have some humor in there every now and then, but I love to put out information since I never had a MySpace growing up. I was very late to the game.
Yeah.
I didn't have a Facebook, but once I did get a Facebook, and this is one thing that people can always go back and look at. Since the day I got a Facebook, when I believe I was 27 years old, the day I got a Facebook, I got it for the purpose of information, and I've been putting out fitness content backed by science since I very first got social media, and that's all I do.
Yeah.
So I can't stop. Trying to put out information. Just I never care if people sign up training with me if they can just take away something that's going to help them and help their eyes kind of see the broader vision of body composition adherence, then I did my job.
Right. You don't get into political debates on Facebook?
No. But I do love them. I love to watch them, and it's part of the psychology of just how the brain works, and I love listening to left-leaning, right-leaning people, and I like to digest, and I mean I've already understood biases from researching in the nutrition field, so this is sometimes new for people, but I like to hear both sides, and this is all just, like I said, this is all just because these are human beings interacting with each other, and I like to see how they interact and how they because they are me, and it's very intriguing, even though sometimes a lot of times it's negative, but you could find some, like I said, one thing I always say is just the way you're taking this information in, and if you can interpret it to be something helpful and useful to others, then that's what I normally like to see. So heated debates like that, no, but I do love to watch both sides of it and see how people react.
I didn't know that, I guess I like debates, period.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's political or based on some other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I like to talk about gravity because I think people don't understand gravity, but they'll explain it to you, and same thing for me. I kind of play devil's advocate, so I'm just like, okay, if I wanted to explain gravity, which exists, right, how would I explain it in a way where like somebody that has never heard of anything or took a science class would understand, so I notice that people accept answers for what they've been told and not what, and I use gravity as an example because I can't explain how gravity works.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, I think, that, I don't know kind of where I was going with that, but basically with political. So, with the debates. So I didn't know that it was so split up, it's like such a new thing. Cause I remember in the 90s, like nobody disagreed with each other, right? Everything was bipartisan. Everybody would vote on a bill or not vote on a bill. And now it's like, look, if you don't see it the left way, then you're wrong. And if you don't see it the right way, then you're wrong. And it's, and it's so public now. Where like we can obviously see it, right? There's a lot of bias, like you said. So no, that's crazy. But yeah, have you noticed that it's always been like that? You said
it's new.
It's new, right? Yeah, I knew it. Yeah, I knew that. It was just like
it's a new form of people being able to yell at each other.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, just in my opinion, people are looking at it. And fair enough in their own right. They're looking at it in the political biases way that they're looking at it. I look at it more on a psychology level, and it's very interesting to me. And not just like I'm not trying to sound like I just probe and I'm just super high and mighty, but you do have to understand emotions, and you do have to understand tribalism, and if you can just be aware and have an understanding and be like, okay, why was that response like this? Why do people, and being able to also in a weird way clearly understand both sides of it, and just use that for interpretation. I think that's just how I am. I know there's not a lot of people like that. They're either like, hey, let me tell you why this is the correct way, and then the other one's like, well, no, let me tell you why this way is the correct way. And then you got some people who just don't give a shit, don't care about it or anything.
Right.
So no, I do like to watch but debates though. Debates are so weird to me though. Maybe there was a time where I used to like debates, but debates are truly, people don't even realize, but debates truly are a boxing match.
Yeah.
And it's weird. I'm an amateur boxer, and you can have me boxing somebody who's already a pro ranked, and let's just say I'm a popular influencer, beginner boxer.
Yeah.
And you have somebody that I'm boxing against that is a amazing 10-time pro win boxer. That's how you can't. It's hard to make levels of like, okay, well, is this going to be an actual productive debate, or is this person just going to destroy you? And it does not matter what side they're on.
Right.
People don't understand that when it comes to debates, is that it is literally a fight that is not sanctioned by anything. Therefore, when somebody's better than you, they do not have to be correct at all. They will destroy you because they know how to box.
Yeah. Or they know how to debate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool, Eric. Man, thanks for the wealth of knowledge. I appreciate you coming in. Man, we got to do this in the future. Wanted to ask before we left, looking 10 years back, do you think you would be would you be surprised of where you're at right now?
I would probably be a little surprised that I'm not a little further ahead.
Okay.
A little.
Yeah. So you want to get more.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Let me know. Send me a link on where we can watch your competition. Would love to share that as well.
Okay.
And again, appreciate you.
All right, man. Sounds good.
All right. Everybody, you guys have a great day.